there in the Nile, at the edge of the Nile, and she steps away, and the Bible said that his sister stood far off and watched to see what would happen to him. His sister loved her brother. His sister knew what was right, and his sister was prayerfully concerned and watching over this one that could do nothing for themselves. Did you know that the Bible tells us that true religion is this, to care for widows and orphans, people that can't care for themselves? Church, we're called to take care of one another. And as she stood and watched, the Bible said the daughter of Pharaoh himself comes down there to the water. And the daughter of Pharaoh himself comes down to the water, and she's bathing herself, and there's this baby. She sees the baby, and the Bible said she had compassion on this child. Now listen, why would you have compassion on this child when all these others are just being murdered, being butchered? Why? Wasn't the last time that someone tried to kill off God's children and said, well, let's just kill all the boy babies. Remember when Jesus was born? Every male child 2 years and under, they were killing because they were trying to stop God's plan. And did you know that if it's wrong and it's in your life, that's what it's there for, is to try to stop God's plan. Let me illustrate what I mean to you. The Bible tells us that the Lord loves us with an everlasting love. God said, I know the plans that I have for you, plans for your good, not to hurt you, to bring you to an expected end. God's plan for you is for your good. The Bible tells us that God's called us to be disciples and witnesses and to go out and make disciples. Now you think about the things that we introduce into our life that could take away from that. You think about God's plan for a family and for a household and for a marriage. God plans for us to, He tells the husband to love his wife as Christ has loved the church. He tells the wife to love her husband, to honor him and to be that helpmate. The Bible tells children to honor their fathers and mothers in the Lord, for this is right. The Bible tells parents, said, don't provoke your children to wrath. Don't just put such hard tasks on them and make their life so miserable that they would hate and rebel you. The Bible tells us how to do all those things in a family. We see families falling apart, families that aren't even together. We see mothers by themselves, and we see what people refer to as deadbeat dads, or it may be the other way around. We see drugs tearing families apart. We see alcohol destroying lives. We see people who won't take any responsibility for their actions, and they don't want to take care of themselves. They don't want to take care of anybody else. They'd rather live on the street and let someone else take care of them. But the Bible says if you won't provide for your family, hear this, you're worse than an infidel. Even the Bible encourages you to work. The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. So as we hear these things, these plans that God has for us, and we see what happens when people go against those things, the effect that it has on the family, the effect that it has on us, could we not understand that whenever we go against the law of God, that it always leads the same direction? To trouble, to chaos, to hurt, to brokenness, to loneliness. The Bible said that the sister watched, and Pharaoh's daughter picks this child up. She sees him, and she falls in love with this baby, and she says it's one of the Hebrews' children. She knew exactly who she was looking at. It's one of the Hebrews' children. And the sister comes out. Before Pharaoh's daughter has a chance to make up her mind, we don't see her saying, what are we going to do with him? We don't see her saying, well, should I drown him? Should I what? Should I? Before she has a chance to make up her mind, the sister acts. And I want you to understand this, and I felt this so many times in my life. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And when you see something before you, when you know that there's a decision to be made, why should the people of God even think about it? Just step into action and do the right thing, always the right thing, the thing that would please God. You say, well, I don't want to make an enemy, or I don't want to make things wrong or things tough for me. Do the thing that pleases God. Again, do the thing that pleases God. And the Bible says she steps forward and says, hey, you want me to go get one of the Hebrew children to nurse this child for you? Yeah, do that. Go get one of the Hebrew women to nurse this child for me. And so she goes, and you know who she gets? She gets her mom. She gets Moses' mom to come and to nurse this child. And here is a place where this woman has hid this baby, obeyed God against the word of Pharaoh, who could have killed her and her whole family because she went against his word. But she chose to honor God. And then she takes this child when she doesn't know what else she can do, and she puts this child there. And I don't doubt not one bit that she went home and continued to pray for that child that was in the bulrush. No doubt. And God puts this child back in her house until it's weaned. Because God had a plan. This woman had no idea that God had birthed that child to deliver Israel from Egypt. This sister had no idea that this baby brother, helpless baby brother, there alone in a bulrush, had been born because God was going to use him to deliver Israel from Egypt. This Pharaoh, when he made this command to kill these children, which ultimately put Moses in his own household, to where he could be raised militaristically, where he could be raised how to lead an army, where he could be raised how to provide for a great number of people, he had no idea that God was actually going to use his. God has